we'll start in a couple minutes. I'm trying to get this situated on Facebook again. Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Yoga Vasistha Satsanga. It is July 17th. Hopefully everyone's having a good week. And if you can hear me okay, let me know. I do have you can see the reflection. The ceiling fan is on. So if you hear it and it's interfering, let me know and I'll turn it off. Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Dilaksham ekam nityam vimalam achalam sarvati sakshi bhutam bhavatitam traguna rahitam sadgurun tam namami. Adorations to the Divine Preceptor, who is the bliss of Brahman, the giver of supreme joy, the embodiment of pure consciousness, beyond the pairs of opposites, vast like the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond all modifications. To that divine Guru, I offer my adorations. Om Shri Gurave Namaha. And this is the prayer for universal welfare. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu, sarvesham shantir bhavatu, sarvesham purnam bhavatu, sarvesham mangalam bhavatu, sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kashit duk bhag bhavate, asatoma sadkamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mrityurmaha amritam gamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnaha Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamaveva Shishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And for anyone new that is listening, that was the prayer for universal welfare. And I'll read the little snippet at the bottom before the translation. Peace is chanted 3 times after many prayers. Peace or protection from one's own physical and mental limitations. Peace or protection from challenges arising from people and circumstances that are around us. Peace or protection from divinely ordained calamities, such as hurricanes, floods, earthquakes, over which we have no control. And the translation for the prayer is, may there be good health for all, may there be peace for all, may there be fullness, contentment for all, may there be auspiciousness for all, may all be happy, may all be free of troubles, may all see what is good, may sufferings end for all. O Lord, lead me from unreal to real, lead me from darkness to light, lead me from death to immortality. Om, that Brahman is full, infinite. This, the world process, is full, infinite. From that fullness of Brahman, this fullness of the world process has proceeded. When this fullness is taken away, what remains is full. Om, may there be peace, peace, peace. Om Tat Sat, Aisha G, divine blessings. I hope you're doing well. I see your comment on the computer, but not on my phone, so it's good I have both open. And Om Tat Sat to anyone else watching this evening. So we'll be picking up where we left off last week. So we're in Yoga Vasistha, and we're in book 1, and it's the copy by Swami Jyotirmayanandaji of Divine Life Society and Yoga Research Foundation. And you can purchase it on the Yoga Research Foundation website. And we are in the second segment, Utpatti Prakarana, which is the chapter dealing with the origination of intuitive vision. And we are on section 2, the ignorant are devoured by death. And we'll be covering 2 sections this evening, because the next several sections are kind of short, so we should have enough time. Sage Vasistha told the following parable to illustrate the fact that the soul suffers from repeated births and deaths due to desires, kama, and actions, karma, generated by ignorance. When ignorance is destroyed in a wise sage, then his pure self, which is vast like the sky, cannot be affected by the illusory clouds of death. And so the jiva, the individual soul, due to our limited intellect and limited thinking, limited senses, we suffer the cycle of these repeated births and deaths and going through the world process because of the desires, the worldly desires that we have and we experience. And then that's kama, K-A-M-A. And then also our actions, which is our karma, K-A-R-M-A. And these desires and these actions that we're speaking of are the ones that are rooted in ignorance of the self and a lack of knowing and understanding the true essence of ourself, and still identifying with the physical body, or basically all the externalness of worldliness, and all the physical limitations and mental limitations. And so when that ignorance to the true self, when that's destroyed in the mind of an enlightened sage, then like the sky, unaffected, like when you think of storms and you think of the rain clouds or the clouds in general, or lightning, and it lights up the sky, or there's a lot of rain in the sky, but the sky itself, that limited definition of sky that we have, the sky is not impacted and affected by the lightning, by the clouds, by the rain. And so it's the separation of everything is what is illusory. Sri Vasistha said, "O Rama, there lives a Brahmin known as," and please forgive me if I mispronounce this, I did try to look up the pronunciation, Akashaja, I think I got that right. There lives a Brahmin known as Akashaja, the skyborn. He is ever engaged in meditation and in doing good to others. Seeing him exist through a long duration of time, death desired to devour him. But just as a sword is unable to pass through a hard rock, so death was unable to affect the Akashaja Brahmana. Death, mustering up all his strength, wanted to destroy the Brahmana with his own hands, but soon found himself being consumed by a mystic fire whenever he approached the Brahmana. Finally, he pierced the fire and spread out his thousands of hands to capture the Brahmana, but he did not succeed. Thus baffled by his attempts to destroy the Brahmana, Death went to his controller and master, Lord Yama, and asked, "O God, why am I unable to devour this Brahmana?" And so we can remember from other scriptures and Guru Ma's teachings also about Lord Yama. And Lord Yama, for those that haven't heard the name before, Lord Yama is the god overseeing death. Yama replied, "O death, you do not destroy people. They are destroyed by their karmas. If you want to destroy the Akashaja Brahmana, you must first seek his karmas. Only with the help of his karmas will you be able to destroy him. And so we can think of this as death isn't something that happens, if we can picture it that way. So the story helps illustrate this, and you can think of death almost like someone escorting the soul to the next part of its journey. So kind of like a tour guide, I guess. And our tour on Earth as a human has ended. And so it's not death that kills the people. It is the karmas, the actions that the people do, per se. So we can think of people taking dangerous risks, or people driving recklessly in a car accident ends up taking the life of somebody. And so it's the action, it's the karma that jiva, that individual soul in the embodiment, was involved in. And so it's with the help of the karmas, death can destroy the person. So it's kind of like a little equation. Sri Vasistha continued, "Then death went to look for the karmas of the Brahmana in various parts of the universe. He roamed through many countries, crossed rivers and oceans, scaled the heights of the mountains, explored the barren deserts, fathomed the depths of the ocean, and flew to the distant parts of the sky. But he could not find the karmas of the Akashaja Brahmana." And so he's looking for these karmas. He's trying to find these actions in all these different places and all throughout the universe. And typically we can think of karmas, we have different karmas, and they accumulate over time and during different embodiments. And so, for example, my current embodiment, I am living out karmas that are fructifying, that are coming to fruition, that could have happened many, many embodiments ago. But now is the time that I'm basically reaping what I sow. And so I have to go through all this stuff. And then in this embodiment, in this lifetime, whatever karmas I'm involved in, they may affect the next lifetimes, the next embodiments that the soul goes through. And so death is looking for all these karmas, so he can use these karmas to do what he needs to do, because he is death. With a baffled mind, he returned to Yama and asked, "O Yama, I have been unable to discover any of this Brahmana's karmas. Please enlighten me about the secrets of his karmas." Having pondered over this, Yama replied, "O Death, the Akashaja Brahmana has no karmas. He is born of the sky." And that, when I was trying to find the pronunciation, that is the definition of Akashaja, and it means born of the sky, or the qualities from the sky. "And is as taintless as the sky." And then this is the explanation from Swami Jyotirmayananda. And he says, "In fact, everyone is essentially born of the self, and therefore is like the Akasha Brahmana. But due to ignorance, people identify themselves with the body and become the performer of karmas. Therefore, death is able to destroy them. So due to ignorance, we think that it is death that is destroying us, and that is what is ending the embodiment, ending the lifetime. Even the idea that Akasha Brahmana is born of the sky is only from a figurative point of view. From the point of view of the enlightened sage, nothing is born and nothing is subject to death. Birth and death are perceived through the illusions of the mind. And so this is where, when we study the scriptures and we're learning more and we're developing our intuitive thinking and intuitive vision, and we can think of duality and opposites, and anything that we explain or we kind of put into these categories of opposites, like hot, cold, light, dark, like, dislike, things like that. And in this context, it would be that death and birth, so those are kind of like opposites, birth and death. And so since those are of duality thinking, then that is through the illusoriness of our mind. So the mind is still in the place of ignorant thinking and thinking in the terms of duality instead of thinking in wholeness. Just as waves are the same as the ocean, so all the mental modifications which sustain the reality of the world process are nothing but pure consciousness. And so we can think of, so if you think of all the people in the world, and you think of how each person has a mind, each person has all these thoughts and these ideas, and they put these out into the world, and technology's developed, electricity's been developed, all types of cooking and anything you can think of. And so all of these things, all of these mental modifications have come to life in a way, and then that is what is sustaining the reality of the world process. So everything around us, everything we look at, everything like my computer mouse, this was due to someone else's thought process. This was an idea from someone else. And so it's another mental modification. And so all of these thoughts, all of these ideas are nothing but pure consciousness. And this pure consciousness is coming from each jiva, each individual soul throughout the whole entire world. And so collectively, that is pure consciousness. And so just as waves in the ocean, collectively, those waves, it's still the ocean. The wave is just a modification of the ocean itself. So they might look different, they sound different, the words are different, so it may seem different, but the wave is still the ocean. It's just a modification. And so we are modifications of consciousness. Thus, by the example of Akasha Brahmana, Sri Vasistha described the nature of the self. This supreme self is unborn, non-dual, and the essence of all that exists. And so like the onion layers, when we peel back all these layers and all these layers, and we can practice neti, not this, not this, not this. And you just bring everything back to the core, the essence of what we are, who we are, and that is the supreme self, and that is pure consciousness. Section 3. Brahma's creation is mental in nature. Sri Rama asked, "O sage, how is it that Brahma, the creator, is not conditioned by desires and karmas? If he has a body, he must have a previous karmic basis. If Brahma creates on the basis of memories of his past lives, his creation ought to be real and not illusory." Sri Vasistha explained, "O Rama, Brahma is untouched by any past karmas. Those who are bound by karmas have bodies as a result of their past deeds." So these physical bodies we have is due to the bondage to previous karmas, and that is why we're here in this embodiment. It's why I'm here, it's why you're here. And it is all a result of our past deeds, our past karmas, our past actions. But in the absence of previous karmas, how can Brahma be controlled by memories of past lives? And so he's explaining that Brahma, the creator, he does not have any past karmas. And so it's about to go more into this. The body of Brahma is ativahika, subtle and spiritual. He does not possess a physical body like those who are overpowered by ignorance. So like me and you and the majority of everybody else, we are individual souls in physical bodies. Like I'm a physical body, you have a physical body. And the mind is overpowered by ignorance and limited senses and our attachments and the world process. So it's all overpowered, and that is why we're in these physical bodies and we go through that process, that cycle of birth and death. Therefore, this creation exists on the basis of Brahma's mental will. It is not based upon real elements. So, when you read the scriptures and you read the stories of Brahma, the creator, Brahma is put into the sense of a physical body to help us with our limited senses try to make sense and understand how deep these scriptures are. And so it becomes a bit easier to understand when kind of like the idea of putting a name to a face. So by being able to do this, it's easier to kind of make sense of things. But Brahma, in all truth, is spiritual. Brahma, the creator, is essence, is self, is supreme consciousness, not a physical body like ours, because we're limited in this physical body, but Brahma, the creator, is unlimited and infinite. And so this creation is existing on the basis of Brahma's mental will. It's not based on an actual physical body. and the ideas that are being projected and created. Brahma arises as a wave in pure consciousness. So when you think of the totality of consciousness and the whole collective consciousness, we are all a wave of a wave of a wave in consciousness. And so a wave of this consciousness is creation. A wave of this consciousness is Brahma. Ahamkara, the ego principle, proceeds from Brahma, the cosmic mind. This creation is nothing but vibrations in pure consciousness. It exists like gusts of wind in the vast ocean of air. So once again, we can see that it's modifications of the same thing. So like gust of wind is a modification of air. So the waves in pure consciousness is still pure consciousness. The vibrations in pure consciousness is still pure consciousness. And within these waves, within these vibrations, is Brahma, the creator, and what is created from pure consciousness. It is still all pure consciousness. Though manifest before the eyes of those who are ignorant, this creation is illusory. So this creation, in the thinking of, if you think of it like in segments, in the idea of duality and divisiveness and categorizing, if you take all those labels away, all those names, all those forms, and you see it as different manifestations of the same thing, that's what it means by this creation is illusory. Because to us, we see it as through our actual physical eyes, but in human form and human embodiment, our eyes is one of our senses, our eyesight, and so it is limited. It exists in the mental imagination of the creator. Brahma has two bodies, the absolute and the conditioned. The absolute body of Brahma is pure consciousness. So that is the whole, that is the totality beyond any comprehension that we can even begin to think of. His conditioned body is conceived by the limited minds of the individuals. To his own awareness, Brahma is ever free of a limited body. So the conditioned body is conceived by our limited mind. In the case of an individual, even though he is essentially Brahma, the divine creator, so even us as individuals, we are waves of that pure consciousness. We are modifications of pure consciousness. And so we are essentially Brahma, the divine creator. Yet his limited mind has created the illusion of physicality. Just as a child might project a ghost from his own mind and then become frightened by its terrifying visible aspects, so the individual soul is caught in the illusion of being confined to a physical body. Excuse me. So when you think of being a child, and I'm pretty sure many of us, when we were younger and we were children, had random fears that might have not been justified or didn't make sense, or being scared of the dark, or thinking that like when you go to bed there's monsters in the closet, or like the example of being scared of ghosts And so it's a projection of the mind that isn't real, but it can feel real. And then we experience the emotions of fear, and we get frightened and scared. And so the jiva, the individual soul, is caught in this illusion. So even though it's not true, it's illusory, it can feel very, very true to us. But that's due to our own limitations in human embodiment, and then the limitations that within the human embodiment our mind is under. The externalization of the mind has led to one's forgetfulness with regards to the spiritual nature of the self, and has created the illusion that I am this physical body. So with the mind being so externalized, and our thoughts and everything so external, there's not so much of internal awareness, internal thinking, reflection, introspection. Everything is so external. So like our attachments to objects and identifying ourselves with the physical body instead of what is within, what's in our heart. And so by doing this and just being in that mindset, in that mind space of limiting ourselves so much by external looks or the way we might sound or what we think others might think of us, we forget that we are the self. We forget about what our true nature and what our true essence is. If the absolute body of Brahma is mental in nature, then his entire creation exists as ideas of the cosmic mind. So if the absolute body of Brahma is mental in nature, then his entire creation exists as ideas of the cosmic mind. So you can think of his entire creation of what we see as humans while we're on this planet. But if you think beyond that, and you think of other planets, you think of the universe, and you think of galaxies, and all the stars, and asteroids, and meteors, and whatever else is literally out there, no one knows. All of this whole entire creation is an idea of the cosmic mind. It is a wave in that consciousness, that pure consciousness. Therefore, from the intuitional point of view, this world is unreal, because this world and what is in it and everything that is different names, different forms, different identifications, different titles, everything's so different. It's so divisive. That is unreal. But when you look at it all as a whole, the bigger picture, that intuitive vision, that intuitional thinking, and the expansiveness of truth is beyond anything you could possibly describe. That is what is real. What is unreal is the names and the forms that we have given everything. And what is unreal is how we've been identifying ourselves with the physical body and not with who we are in truth and our whole essence and nature is of the Supreme Self, is of Supreme Consciousness. The mind that has risen to cosmic expansion to the level of Brahma dreams of this world as it were for fun and sport. And so it's seen as this whole world is a wave. It's a wave in the ocean. And Guruji would teach it like the world is a play. And when you think of like a theatrical play, and each person has a role. So our roles are our worldly titles that we have, like mother, father, daughter. So family titles, or your job titles: cashier, clerk, cook, washer, CEO, whatever you can think of. And so the world just seems like it's a fun sport. It's all just a play that is being acted out, and everyone is playing their part in this play. And eventually the play ends, just like any other play. It ends. And so when our part is done and the curtain closes, then we move on to the next embodiment. And so the mind that is limited and caught in illusion projects realities on what are actually dreams. The very same mind that perceives realities in the world is capable of rising to Brahmahood and experiencing the world as an expression of thoughts and ideas drifting in the ether of consciousness. So all of this around us and everything that we experience and everything that we go through in this embodiment, in this life, these are all expressions, thoughts and ideas from the pure consciousness, from collective consciousness. And that is what we see being put out into the world, and that is what we see being played out in the world, is all these thoughts and all these ideas. And we can see people's karmas being played out and their actions, and if we think hard enough and deep enough and really pay attention, you can kind of unravel people in a way, and you learn more about them. Just as a tree arises from the seed in which it was hidden, so the world process arises from drishya buddhi, the intellect that is caught in the illusion of objectivity, the vision that is overpowered by ignorance. And so when we're stuck in the thinking of objective thinking, and we're stuck in illusory thinking, and that is due to our ignorance. That is the ignorance of the mind and ignorance of the self, the true self, and who we are. And so when you think of like the tree seed, a seed that a tree comes from, and it's so tiny, it's so little, and then it's nurtured and watered, and then it sprouts, and then it becomes like a sapling tree, and then it grows and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And so out of this really, really, really tiny seed, something big comes from it. And so it's like the tree was hidden in that tiny seed. And in a similar way, the world process is arising from that objective mind. And so, due to the ignorance, all this world process is coming out, and it is, our true self is hidden. If this world process were real, then the miseries of the world would never terminate. It would be impossible to attain liberation. When the knowing self realizes the illusion of the visible objects of the world process, it abides in its own essential nature. So this is kind of like, I'll read the last bit and then I'll comment more. Negating that which does not exist is a simple matter for the intuitive vision. Therefore, the attainment of that vision is the goal of one's spiritual movement. So when we negate that which does not exist, that is like the practice of neti, and not this, and you kind of strip everything away. And if you think of how we identify ourselves and what we are thinking to be real or true, and then you negate it, not this, and eventually everything is stripped away. So all these different forms are stripped away, all these different modifications are stripped away, and what you're left with is that supreme self. What you're left with is the divine creation. What you're left with is just pure consciousness, and everything has come from that, is part of that. So if the world process is what was real, then the miseries of the world would never terminate. But miseries of the world actually do terminate due to our ignorant thinking. We think that they will last forever, but they don't. They might last longer than we're alive in our physical current embodiment, but they're not going to last forever. So we ended a little bit early, about 15 minutes early. I think my computer froze. Swipe left. So we will end on that, and then next week we will pick up on section 4, which will cover the nature of the mind. Well, since we have a little bit left of time, we'll go through a few prayers and mantras. The Mahamrityunjaya mantra. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Urva Rukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritata. Translation: Om, we worship Lord Shiva with 3 eyes, the bestower of fragrance, divine virtues, and nourishment, spiritual strength. Just as a cucumber fruit, when ripe, becomes separated from its creeper, in the same way, O Lord, release us from the creeper of the world process and lead us to immortality. Prayer to the Divine Mother. Sarva Mangal Mangalye Shive Savartha Sadike Sharanye Trayambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Shristi Stiti Vinashanam Shakti Bhukte Sanatani Gunashraya Gunamayi Devi Narayani Namostute Sharanagata Dinartha Paritrana Parayani Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute Jai Narayani Namostute Jai Narayani Namostute Jai Narayani Namostute. O thou auspicious one, the source of all auspiciousness, thou art blessed. You are the ultimate refuge, the bestower of all desires, the possessor of supreme wisdom and beauty. O Devi Gauri, my adorations to you. You are the eternal power behind all creation. The 3 gunas depend on you. You are the embodiment of the gunas. Salutations to you, O Divine Mother. Thou art the destroyer of all misery, the protector of the helpless who seek refuge in thee. Salutations to you, O Divine Mother. Glory to thee, O Divine Mother. My salutations to you. Om Shri Durgaye Namaha. Om Shri Mahalakshmiye Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatiye Namaha. Try to see who is here this evening. Ooh, it echoed. It's not wanting to show me. So, divine blessings, everybody. Thank you for attending this evening's Yoga Vasistha Satsanga. And we will pick up again next week and cover section 4. Divine blessings. Om Tat Sat.